In this tutorial, we begin our unit on Photoshop's interface with a quick general tour of the main features the interface has to offer. There's a lot that we can do with Photoshop, and over the years, Photoshop has grown into a massive program. But the interface itself is actually quite simple. In fact, there's really only a handful of sections we need to know about. We'll look at each section individually throughout this tutorial. The first section we're going to talk about is the document window. The document window is the large area in the center of the interface where the image is displayed. So with our Chitix Chargers logo here, that is the document window. It's also where we can edit the image. The actual area where the image is visible is known as the canvas, so our Chitix Chargers logo would be on the canvas. The dark area surrounding the image is the pasteboard. So all that gray area around my Chitix Chargers logo is the pasteboard. The pasteboard doesn't really serve a purpose other than to fill in the space around the image when the image itself is too small to fill the entire document window. So you would see more of that dark outlining if our image was smaller, but since it's not, you can't really see that section. The next part of the interface to point out is right up here where my mouse is, and that is the document tab. At the top of the document window is the document tab. The tab displays the name of the file type of the document and its current zoom level. So if I look up here, I see my document name and the type, it's a JPEG, and then you can see that it is at 200% zoom level. This tab is also how we switch between document windows when we have more than one image open in Photoshop. We'll learn more about working with multiple documents in another video. The next part of the interface to point out is right down here, and we have the zoom level and status bar. In the bottom left of the window, we find more information about the image. The current zoom level is displayed just like it is in the Documents tab, and to the right of the zoom level is the status bar. By default, the status bar displays the color profile of the image. So in my case here, we can see what the color of the image is. And then yours might say something different depending on what image you have up. But we can also see over here what the zoom level is. So I have that at 200. I can easily click that and change that. So if I wanted to make that 220, I could type in 220 and click enter, and that's going to change the size of my image to 220% zoom. The next part of the interface to take note on is the toolbar located right over here. And we can move our toolbar around by simply clicking it and dragging it. The toolbar, also known as toolbox or the tool panel, is where Photoshop holds all of its tools. You'll find it along the left side of the Photoshop interface. There's tool for making selections, for editing, retouching images, for painting, adding types of shapes to your document, and so much more. Something to take note on with the toolbar is that we can expand the toolbar. By default, the toolbar appears as a long single column of tools. Clicking the double arrows, so right up here at the top of our toolbar we have that double arrow. If we click that, this will expand the toolbar into a shorter double column. Click the arrows again and we can return back to the single column layout. Another thing to take note on with the toolbar is its hidden tools. Photoshop includes lots of tools. In fact, there are many more tools than what we can see. Most of the tools in the toolbar have other tools nested within them in the same spot. Click and hold on a tool's icon and view a menu of the other tools hiding behind it. For example, by default, the rectangular marquee is selected. It's the second tool from the top, so if we go up here and I hover above it, we can see that that is the rectangular marquee tool. So if I click and hold on the rectangular marquee tool's icon, a flyout menu appears. The menu shows me the elliptical marquee tool, the single row marquee tool, and the single column marquee tool, and can also be selected from the same spot. Another item on the interface to take note on is the options bar. Directly linked to the toolbar is the Photoshop's option bar. The option bar displays options for whichever tool we've selected in the toolbar. You'll find the options bar along the top of the interface just above the document window. So right up in here, this is our options bar. Here we see that because I currently have the rectangular marquee tool selected, the option bar is showing options for the rectangular marquee tool. If I choose a different tool from the toolbar, like the crop tool, so if I go over and I select the crop tool here, then you can see that the options bar has changed. Instead of seeing options for the rectangular marquee tool, we're now seeing options for the crop tool. The option bar updates each time a new tool is selected. The menu bar is the next thing we will take note on here on the interface. The menu bar is along the very top of the Photoshop's interface. So right up here where it has File and Image and Layer and all those other different options. The menu bar is where we find various options and commands all grouped into categories. The File menu, for example, holds options for opening, saving, and closing documents. The Layer menu lists options for working with layers. Photoshop's many filters are found under the Filter menu, and so on. We won't go through every category in the menu item here, but we'll learn all about them in future videos. The panel is the next part of the interface that we'll talk about here. Along the right of the Photoshop interface is where we find the panels. Panels give us access to all sorts of commands and options, and there are different panels for each task. The most important panels is the Layer panel, so all of our panels are over here, and we can look at our Layers panel right in this section. So the Layers panel is where we add, delete, and work with layers in our document, but there are lots of other panels as well, all of which we'll be looking at later. Let's also take note on the Panels group. So the Panels group, to save space on the screen, Adobe groups related panels together. For example, let's look at the Layer panel. So right over here. Just like the document window, each panel has a tab at the top which displays the panel's name. Notice, though, that there are two other tabs to the right of the Layer tab. One says Channels and the other says Paths. These are other panels that are nested in with the Layers panel in the same panel group. The name of the panel that's currently open in the group, in this case is the Layers panel, appears brighter than the others. So you can notice that I can switch from panels by simply selecting each one, and you'll notice that it appears brighter as I choose the different panels up here at the top.